This week for Ailey All Access, we are celebrating Alvin Ailey, and we are celebrating another one of his masterpieces, Night Creature. That was that is your work. And it was choreographed in 1974, originally for a program, a television program, Ailey Celebrates Ellington. And I know you know this, but for our audience members, I call them our extended family. Yes. You can find out all things dance, all things Ailey at alvinailey.org/Ailey All Access. And as I said, we're celebrating Night Creature this week. And what some of you may not know is that Night Creature is part of the rites of passage for any Ailey company member. Of course, it is a no-brainer that we all learn Revelations as soon as we get into the company. But the other work that is a must-do, a must-have, is Night Creature. And I spent the first 9 years of my career in the company in the exact same role in Night Creature. I remember watching videotapes with this amazing woman, Miss Sarita Allen, and I am so glad to even say that I know you, that we've developed a relationship, and that you are just like queen of Night
Where's
Creature.
My crown? Where's my crown?
Here it is. Put it on.
I know. A Night Creature's headband.
The fact that you came to New York at first as a ballet dancer, can you talk about that? Because apparently you didn't know much modern.
No. In fact, I was such a ballet snob. In fact, well, those days were different. There was not so much crossover. You know, now most modern companies, they have to have a ballet line, so they have to take ballet classes. Same thing in all the major ballet companies. They have to do modern, like the New York City Ballet just did a Kyle Abrams. There's so much cross-pollination that they have to. Those days, not so much. It was really separate.
What was it like being in New York? What was it like seeing Mr. Ailey, you know, maybe every day or walking through the hallways? What was that like?
Well, that had a lot to do with it, because I remember I used to cry every day. I didn't remember this, but my dad told me. He said, you used to call, I want to come home, Dad. I want to come home. I'm so lonely. And then, I'm going to start crying now, but no. Then I had made a family. You know, there was a group of us. We would stay at Ailey from early morning to late at night. We answered the phones. We painted the walls. We cleaned the bathrooms. We took every class possible. And people come to our new building, which is quite extensive now, and I talk about the old days, it was like, I would pick the phone up and I would go, hello, Alvin, it's for you. Just like, it was like that. Now, of course, we have 7 floors and offices.
Right.
But it was just very casual, and that was a testament to Alvin's personality. He was very, you know, he came from Texas, a small town. He was cool. We were all together. It wasn't like Mr. Ailey. In fact, he would not allow us to call Mr. Ailey. It was always Alvin, which I find funny because he always called me Miss Allen. Miss Allen, it was that voice, but I had to call him Alvin. So it was very much like that. And then I just fell in love. All of us became a family. You know, they always talk about your dance family, but it was true. You know, all of us had a hunger. We were just like obsessed. And that group was the first group that he chose also to choreograph Night Creatures on for the Ailey Celebrates Ellington. What was interesting about that is Alvin had not danced in I don't know how many years. He hadn't danced. It was many years, because he always thought of himself more as a choreographer than a dancer, even though he was an amazing dancer. But he got back into shape for this. So the whole experience was amazing, because we saw he was in class with us, getting back into shape, and he choreographed it on us and himself because he was the lead in it.
You realize
so to watch him
right now, I just think that's so mind blowing. Like, it's crazy to me, honestly, to listen to you talk about how you were there in the process of creating a new work. I can't imagine what it was like being in a room with Mr. Ailey making a new work, and you weren't even really officially in the company yet.
No, none of us were. He just chose us because the company was on tour, and we had this incredible invitation from CBS, and of course we needed the money. so he says, well, maybe I can use them. Maybe I can pass them off as the company. And years later, I was reading Jennifer Dunning's amazing biography of his. And she said there was lots of times where he was wondering, he said, did I make the right decision? These are kids. But he never made us feel like that. I never remember feeling like inadequate. So when I read those words by her, I was like, wow, that was pretty amazing. But of course, when you're also learning something like that in the beginning, it hasn't become iconic. So you don't really realize it. Right. It's just something you're doing. Like now when I think about those things and I go back being in the room with him and I'm like, oh my God. But when you're in the middle of it, it's just what you're doing.
I was also thinking about your history, your training, your upbringing in ballet, and what kind of person it takes to be in Night Creature. Night Creature is classified, especially with Duke Ellington's music, classified as this jazz, work, but there's so much classical form and classical line all within the ballet. So what's the secret to being a part of Night Creature? I mean, you talk about Mr. Ailey, you talk about Duke Ellington, but talk about the secret of dancing Night Creature. What is it?
Well, go back a little bit. One of the things that, they talk about timing, everything is timing. And Mr. Ailey's style, I think Night Creatures actually is one of the best examples of the Ailey style, which is the combination of jazz, Horton, Graham, and ballet, all of his love. So you clearly see the influences of his teachers, mathematics, Jack Cole, all those jazz style, that's all Jack Cole mathematics. Then you see the Graham, that section with the Graham, and you see all those contractions. He loved the Graham.
I did that.
And then later on, actually, Night Creature was one of the first ballets that he really showed off his love for ballet. And he didn't really know ballet that well, but he loved it. So that's why he had the ballet combination. But he insisted that it was perfectly done, not modern dancers doing ballet. I think that's one of the reasons why I got the part. And I came along at the right time when he started adding more balletic things and he wanted that line. And that's what I had. It worked for me. I had to work harder on the modern things and the jazz things because the ballet lines, I could do it in my sleep only because I've been doing it so long. And then going back to his influences, of course, there's Lester Horton, his mentor. There's a lot of laterals in there. So Night Creatures is the blend. What people tend to think, because the music is so happy, that it looks light and frothy. But we know as artists, making something look effortless and light and frothy is hard, right? So all those little subtleties, and to do it, to give it justice, you have to really, really live with the music. Alvin, and that's one of the things that he taught me, the best gift, dancing any ballet, you have to live with the music. And I'm not just saying know the music, this is the count. Like sometimes we listen to the music, you go over the step, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, you have to do that, but he would say, listen to it without any going over the choreography. Live with it. First thing in the morning, put it on. Go to sleep. He said, put the headphones on before you go to sleep. So it's almost like you're brainwashed. And then you start to hear things that you didn't hear before. If you hear it without any expectations, or you're listening for this, now I do glissade, jeté, then you miss the subtleties. And that's the beauty of the Ellington. That's what he loved about the Duke's music. Yes, there is a beat, but there's all these underlying things and the way he plays, no. He would say, be another part of the orchestra. There's a difference, you just dancing with the rhythm, but being in it. So he would say, you want to become another instrument like the trombone. So you meld in it and it becomes part of you. So that it gives you a more organic feeling. That when you're dancing, there's a difference to dancing in the music and on the music. He would also say some parts of it, you have to push the beat like in the ballet combination, it works better if you go, glissade, jeté, coupe, assemblée, and you're always ahead of it a little bit, even though you're on it, as opposed to going, glissade, jeté, coupe, assemblée, entre-toi.
Right.
And then you're on the music, but it's not glissade. You have to push it.
Right.
Same thing, like the theme of the woman, you have to be a little behind the beat. If you watch Alvin, if anybody has an opportunity to watch Alvin dance Night Creatures, it's always like, it's that slow little delay. Not late, but it's like, again, it's playing with the music. It's not so literal.
I feel like I'm in the studio with you as you're moving. And I'm going to just, if I can tell this story a second.
Okay.
So I said earlier that I did this duet. I was in this Graham duet where we actually carry the man off at the end of, it's in the first section, in the first movement of Night Creature, but I was going to be learning the lead role. And, we developed a bit of a relationship. You'd been helping me with my body, helping me to understand how to move and isolate and all wonderful things, Sarita. And so I called you and asked you if you would coach me in this role. And I said, I promise I'll know all the movement, so I didn't know what to expect. I was freaking out, to be honest. And you came in the studio and you said, well, let's see. And we turned the music on. And Sarita, I promise you, Miss Allen, I promise you, I could not keep up with you. I wish I'd had a recorder. You were moving around the room. You were saying, I call him Mr. Ailey because I didn't have permission to call him Alvin, but you would say, Alvin said do this. And then literally, I felt like I was chasing you around the room because you were remembering things. You were vividly remembering and experiencing emotions, and all I could do to keep up was like, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish that this would have been recorded. I wish there was, someone else here to help me. But it was like you were spouting, but just to remember, but you were just spouting experiences. It wasn't rules. It wasn't, you must do this, you must do this. It was Alvin liked this. It should feel like this. This is why this is important. And I will never forget it. And anytime I had to share that information with another dancer coming into the role, I would say, Sarita said, Mr. Ailey said, because that's how we pass things on. But I remember a couple of years after doing the role, and I thought I'd heard that you were in the audience. I came to you and I said, how was it? How was it? Do you have any notes? And you said to me, and it's just, it chokes me up a little bit. You said, I told you before, you got it. And it took a whole load off of me because you want to be your best all the time on stage. Yeah. You want people to look at, we're in a different generation now. We're in the 21st century. You want people to look at you and not feel like I wish or I remember when. I mean, it's wonderful to remember because our history is what propels us forward. But knowing that you said that I was good, that I was okay enough to not worry about every little thing, that it was live. I remember the notes going in. I mean, I didn't mean to start dancing, but that's just how what your spirit is doing for me. And you are part of the legacy. I mean, as a member of the company, you're a part of the Ailey legacy, but you are creating a legacy of why it's important to do works like this. You worked with Mr. Ailey, you worked with me, and now you're passing that same thing to students in the school. We have student performance groups and, workshops and master classes, and you are the go-to person. I mean, it's important, right? For you to continue this.
Yes. Well, for me, it's important on so many reasons. First of all, how it feels as a dancer to dance Alvin's works. It's when you watch his works, obviously the audience is transformed and they have this experience. When you dance his works, you have the same magical experience. I mean, it's different, but it's a magic that happens. So it's like when you share your favorite restaurant, and not that base, but you know what I mean, when you want young dancers to have that joy, have that experience, it's magical, especially the way he has blended it with the music and Alvin's musicality with Duke's music, especially the music, the Ellington score it's unlike anything else. You know, again, people want to just pigeonhole, he's jazz. It's a classical. If you listen, there's so much orchestration. That's our American classical music. So there's so much to work with. You know, a lot of music now, there's no music or it's atonal, which is nothing wrong with that. But to delve into all the nuances of Ellington is, as an artist, is amazing. And then going back to Alvin's thing, we've all heard so many times, so his mantra is dance came from the people. It must be given back to the people. You know, so that's also one of my loves in sharing with the Ailey Extension, doing our workshops, traveling around the country, teaching the Ailey experience, because that's what he wanted. That was his vision.
Right.
I mean, I remember there's a story in Paris. It was totally sold out, and my best friend was there, and there was no more tickets. And Alvin said, "Oh, here, come, you can have my ticket." And Alvin sat on the stairs. That just kind of exemplifies how he wanted everybody to see it as much as possible. He was always telling the kids, "Come watch. Come, are you in class now? Come watch rehearsal. Come watch this. What are you doing? Blah blah blah." He was obsessed with inclusivity. If I said that correctly, he wanted everybody. That's why he wanted to create ballets that he said his cousins and uncles would like. You know, he didn't want it to just be so exclusive. He wanted everybody. So that's one of the reasons I also like it, because I love Alvin. He was obviously close to me. We became very good friends. So just as you do with any of your friends, you want to honor them as best you can.
But I hope that you know that you are honored, that you were loved, and that your legacy continues because of what you do for everyone. You know, we're celebrating, we're celebrating Alvin Ailey, but we couldn't do that celebration without company members who knew him, without people who said he was like a dad to me, you know, without people who could call him Alvin and say, you know, here's the phone.
Here's the phone.
That story is so great.
It's true.
I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for this time. And because you're an educator, you know, when we are in this time, and I always want to give a shout out to those people who are on our front lines during this. I say amazing, but it's extraordinary, but it's not that I'm using those words to try to lighten it, but I can't believe what happens at 7 p.m. every day.
Oh, yes.
And the applause just goes crazy. And we're so grateful for those people who are on the front lines. But for those of us who are able to stay at home, and you do want class and you do want some extra work, there is the Ailey extension.com/keep dancing. And I think you teach a Pilates class on Saturday.
Yes, it'll be every Saturday.
That's great. So
at 9 o'clock. There's so many other classes, of course, at the Ailey Extension. They're adding new classes every day, so it's really fantastic.
And
amazing.
And everything else, Ailey, everything else, all access, you can get at alvinailey.org/Ailey all access. And I am so grateful for you, our extended family. I'm so grateful for Sarita Allen. And I'm so grateful as we continue to celebrate Alvin Ailey, his legacy, his genius, the founder of this organization that has been here for 62 years. That is amazing to be able to say it. Please join us on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. when we get to see a streaming showing of Alvin Ailey's Night Creature with music.
Yay!
Ellington. And again, Sarita, thank you so much. You are a superhero. You have been such a wonderful influence in my life. And I'm just so grateful that you can continue to do this with the young people who are coming up. It's just a blessing. Thank you.
Well, I thank you, Hope. And for me, it's been a blessing to be a part of this Ailey family for 50 years and counting.
Wow. Gosh.
Yeah, I know. I love my Ailey family and our extended family, which is our audience.
Audiences, yes. And we love you, Sarita. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.